Hello, friends. This is Mike with another Tuesday podcast. Today, I want to talk a little bit about manifestation and something that happened this past week that really made me think and appreciate it even more. Hang on. Hello again, friends and fellow truth seekers. Mike Nicholas here with another episode of the Soul Unleashed podcast, where my goal is to help you with questions you might have regarding the awakening of your soul, and particularly to help other left brain types, like I'm pretty sure I am, ask the right questions in our search for a deeper meaning to life. Ultimately, I want to help you unleash your soul from limiting beliefs and smothering paradigms. So let's get started with today's adventure. So I had an experience, quite the experience, this past week. It lasted 5 days, and I've been through a lot of different training throughout my life, and a lot of professional things I've done. This was something with Tony Robbins. It was called Business Mastery. And if any of you have done this, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but it goes for 5 days from, this is Eastern time, so we started at about, depending on the day, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but usually went to 11 p.m., 11:30, sometimes 12, one day 12:30. It just goes all day. And it's quite the immersive thing. He used to do these things, I guess, in stadiums. I never really went to any of those, but these are all in some huge studio that he has, but it works very well. The point, however, is, and what made me want to tie it to what I'm doing with the Soul Unleashed part, is it's about manifestation and about visualizing where you are or what you want. And he has a couple things that he really believes in. One of them is called state is everything. So what state means is just getting excited, getting into whatever it is you're about to do. And he literally has people stand up and dance to music and move around and jump up and down and scream. And, it's my left brain way of thinking. It was like, yeah, I can do without this, or I know what I'm doing without this. But anyway, I started to get into it and do the thing. And I have to tell you that it does make a difference. Now, looking back in my life, I know this, right? You know this. There were times in my life when, especially in the military, when I got fired up to do something and I was screaming my head off, and it was all to get me in state, if you will, to do it. Particularly, I'm thinking of something called bayonet training. And back in the day, this was a long time ago, but I learned how to fight with a bayonet and how to plunge a bayonet into somebody. It was a different time. I was a different person. But the training has a lot to do with your mental state. I mean, let's face it, you've got to be out of your mind with rage or insanity to want to do that. And part of the training is to get you in the condition where you're ready to do that. And I remember screaming with hundreds of other guys, screaming, the spirit of the bayonet is to kill, and getting ourselves psyched up. One time there was another cadet really that was with me, and his name was Nick. And Nick went over and grabbed a tree branch and started eating the leaves while screaming. And that was a special kind of crazy, and we all went even more crazy. So that's kind of the state that we had to get our way in. And so Tony does this really well, and he has people stand up all around the world. I guess there are probably 3,000 people maybe attending this thing. And people are, dancing and yelling, and but the manifestation part, he gets to the point where he seriously goes into having you close your eyes and visualize. And I have to tell you, I've been through training with Gabby Bernstein, Mike Dooley, and they're on the spiritual side of things, and it is so similar to that it just made me think it's something I really want to try and tie together as part of this brief podcast. So Tony goes into this thing where we're closing our eyes. You've just gone through all this being in state thing, and he has you do other things. He calls it make your move, but you're shouting and moving, and you're standing up. And as part of this, then you close your eyes and you start imagining, where you want to be, what you want to do, and he trying to get you to feel the feeling of what it is that you want. So where you want your business to be, where you want your income to be. This is all focused on business, of course. The goals that you have, but he's trying to get you to internalize and feel the feeling. And it works. It worked. And, you do this for 5 days, and your days are like 12 hours long. it almost becomes second nature. When he starts saying these things, you kind of go into that state and into those thoughts. Now, when I did the training with Mike Dooley and Sarah Bernstein or Gabby Bernstein and some other people that teach manifestation, when I did The Secret and read The Secret and all the stuff, but they talk about getting into a state where you're grateful and you kind of live like you've already gotten the thing you want. So if you're looking for a different lifestyle or a new home or whatever, Mike Dooley has a big thing about you don't get tied up in the hows. Get you're clear on the why and what it is that you want. And oddly enough, Tony Robbins says the same thing. Don't get tied up in the hows. Figure out what it is that you want and focus on what it is you want. Believe it. Believe you received it. And it obviously has worked for him and for thousands of other people that he was trained and coached, and has obviously worked for Mike Dooley and thousands of people he has trained, and Gabby Bernstein, thousands of people that she's trained. And so, does it make you, win the lottery? I don't know. There's stories about people that have done that, but I don't know. So, but I do believe that if you internalize and believe that you've received and get into that state where you're confident, you're sure, you have no doubt in your mind that this is going to happen, that it can happen. So I just was amazed at the similarity between Tony Robbins training and the other stuff I've been through. And also books that I've read. Napoleon Hill comes to mind. I've mentioned him in other podcasts. I started reading Napoleon Hill many, many years ago. His basic work that everybody knows is Think and Grow Rich. Same principles. The Law of Success is another one. The Master Key to Riches, The Science of Success, The Law of Success. These are books that Napoleon Hill was writing back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s that became big hits and, were the precursors to things like The Secret and the training that Mike Dooley does and Gabby Bernstein does and Tony Robbins. I have no doubt listening to Tony Robbins and the things he teaches that part of what he's teaching is built on the foundation that Napoleon Hill built. And another way to look at manifestation is through the Bible, through biblical experiences. So we talked about it being a spiritual thing, with Mike Dooley and Gabby Bernstein, a physical thing or a real life thing in business like Tony Robbins and Napoleon Hill. But also in the Bible, we talk about faith and prayer. And the principles seem to work the same way, that we have a belief system and that we believe it's going to happen and we're praying for it with all our might. And can prayer cause those kind of things to happen? I think they do. There's many stories of people praying and things happening. Now, whether or not that's because they prayed and God answered their prayer, or whether because they prayed and the science or the spirituality part or whatever it is that causes manifestation to work caused it to happen, who knows? I don't know. But I do know that prayer does work, and manifestation works. And all the visualization pieces of it and positive thinking are all part of the whole thing. And there's all kinds of studies that support these kind of concepts. And I just wanted to mention that was something that really struck me this past week. The whole thing with Tony Robbins and making people believe that they can do it, believe that they can accomplish these things, fully believe and internalize the feelings of success and business success, just brought me back to everything I've learned with the other teachers and even through the Bible and with prayer. So I encourage you to study manifestation. Again, it doesn't cause you to win the lottery right away, but study manifestation, believe in manifestation, and I'm going to continue to do the same thing and put myself in state. I talked to you also about meditation. I meditate quite a bit. I try to every day. That's also kind of a state thing, but meditation, I'm more calm and just sitting there focusing on nothing really, just listening. But the whole state thing is actually physically moving to music or to getting yourself fired up about something. And I believe that it works. So thank you for listening to this brief personal one on a Tuesday. And whether your beliefs and manifestation are grounded in spirituality, psychology, business psychology, or religion, if you get the chance to let me know, drop a comment. I'd love to hear about your stories. And I'm looking for people to interview as part of my video podcast that I do on Thursdays that have experienced manifestation and had it work. There was somebody I interviewed not too long ago where she said she had manifested her husband. So those kind of stories are pretty cool. Again, thanks for listening. That's all for this Tuesday. I'll be back again on Thursday. I've got an interview coming up with Jackie Breezer, and it's a 2-part interview. The first part will be this Thursday, the next part the following week. But Jackie is a really interesting story, and I'll look forward to bringing that interview to you. Please leave me a comment or a rating. Subscribe to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Helps other people find me, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.